Why are we creating all these problems at the very low end? Because of the increased use of mechanized transport. What drives us to do that? Because we feel that we need to move around. There is a higher demand of mobility since we earn more. Economy drives us on, and because we earn more, we have more money to spend. We feel that, okay, now it's time for me to have a car, to drive freely, personalized transport instead of using public transport. Now, let us stay here. Okay, if we continue to grow in terms of our economy, if we earn more income, if we want to stay at a business as usual, grow the same way, Hong Kong, if Hong Kong is to grow the same way we have been doing, like what we have done in the last 10, 20 years, we are going down the same route again. There will be high demand for mobility, there will be more mechanized transport. Even if we're trying to make each unit cleaner, we will end up with more traffic congestion. We will end up with more roadside emissions, as well as we are going to take up more land. So what should we do? We should take a step back. We should ask ourselves, what should be the right direction? How do we want our city to be? Do we want a city that is built for vehicles, or the use of vehicles, or do we want something else? Now, with this approach, we then have to think about, are we with lots of income, with a high GDP? Should we ask for better quality of living? What is your definition of high quality of living? A bigger car, or more space, more open space for yourself or for your family? Or a balance between the two? Are we only asking for higher mobility, or are we actually looking for better accessibility? Without having more cars, without building more roads, we can achieve the same with, say, better public transport system, better footbridge, better pedestrian environment, better walkway system. We can achieve the same without having more vehicles. And that would lead us to the true sustainable transport that we are looking for, which will also have a more positive impact on all these problems. If we think about, we want to have a better city, providing more better qualities, then all the way down, actually, we will solve the traffic congestion problem. We will also have less roadside emission, and we will have more land for better usage. So what I'm trying to say is, if I, as someone who researched a lot on transport and air pollution, just only think about tailpipe solution to try to reduce emission, I'm only looking at the tip of the problem. But as a matter of fact, the bigger problem is how we plan our city. What we want our city to be like. Is it for cars, is it for buses, or is it for people? Now these are from textbook, it's kind of boring, but I don't think we would like to follow the same route of the US after the World Wars to have the city sprawl, uncontrollably. I think we'd like to have a more compact city, more mixed land use, using, more sensible use of land use to reduce our reliance on, vehicles, and to reduce our reliance on energy. Do you want Hong Kong to become like this? A city for cars? Or even worse, like this? Car-oriented planning. All these are, very low-density development, lots of land reserved for car parks. That's Phoenix, by the way. Or do you want, Paul throw out the questions on the flyers. How do we? Do you want more roads along the coastline? We are not only having roads, but we are having, spaghettis of highways along the coastline. Do you want more of these? Well, actually, in Hong Kong, we have some good examples of a city or part of the city built for the community. We have some good facilities for people, open space, good connectivity, good accessibility, supported by public transport system. Also, cycling track. We can use bicycle if we want to. We are well connected to the rail station in that sense. This is Sha Tin. Once again, very well planned community. I live in Sha Tin and I like it. if you look at the way it is planned and how people enjoy the environment, I think this is a good example of what we can actually achieve in Hong Kong. Now, this is a picture I think Bill repeatedly reminded me that he showed me to Robert, and he's quite impressed by the way that pedestrians are pushed along to both sides with very limited space, while a large chunk of space, urban space, has been dedicated to vehicles, but then the utilization rate is really low. Is it something that we want? I mean, with all these space, should be made available to people rather than to nothing. Or what about a city where people are in the center stage, where people are intermingled with the transport need, the transport system, bicycle, pedestrian ways, even vehicles, but in a balanced manner? Is it something that we want? Now, I think the thing is, government, are we going to change the mindset? They are the one who implement or engineer all these policies. So I think, in a sense, they are also responsible to think about this way. What type of city we really want for Hong Kong in the next 10, 20 years, not only for themselves, but for the young kids, the young generations. But I think also we, people, sometimes as professionals, we have a different view, but then when we are passengers, we have another view. Okay, when I talk about the bus routes, okay, if I'm going to take away one bus route from your district, what are you going to do? Are you going to complain? Are you going to say yes? Why not? Now, we are in difficult positions. But then if we really want a city that's for the people, when those decisions come into your face, you really have to think hard. Whether you want to make a wrong decision for the convenience of yourself at this point, or whether you would like to make a decision that would have a far-reaching consequences to the generations that's following. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.